Hey guys, F4H Rosso here. Good evening and welcome to 2018. Hope you all had a fantastic new year and you're all safe and well rested and ready for some GT Sport action. Today we're going to jump right into a Group 4 race around the Kyoto Driving Park Gr4 circuit, and we're going to tackle something that I've wanted to do now since the start of GT Sport when it first came out. We are going to try and make the impossible possible. We're going to try and get a Ford Mustang around in first position. As you can see, it's all going to plan so far. We've qualified on pole position. 140.1 was our qualification time, but it's one thing setting a lap in qualifying over a single lap on a hot lap with a car suffering from no tyre degradation or fuel consumption. In this race we've got to tackle both. We've got obviously another 19 cars all vying for our spot, but we've also got fuel 4 times consumption and tyre degradation 9 times wear. So a couple of different factors there to to take into account. Behind us we've got a Megane and a TT at the moment. So this first sector basically all about getting a decent run through that first sector, meaning that the front wheel drive cars with their extra horsepower can't get a decent run into into this second sector here. There's plenty of passing opportunities on the Gr4 circuit, as you'll see as the video unfolds. Strategy wise, for those of you that watched my stream the other day, you'll see that we tried to make as the Dane goes off behind us there, that kind of put pay to his race. We didn't see him again in this one. That could have been quite tricky actually. You have to really attack the curbs through there to get a fast line, and if you attack them too hard like he did, you get a bit late on those brakes, it's game over. But yeah, strategy wise, for people that watched the stream the other day, you'll see that I tried to make a no stopper work at Suzuka, which backfired in a spectacular way. We ended up in the midfield scrapping around for our lives in a Peugeot RCZ that really didn't fancy gripping when we'd lost the tyres, and it just kind of de-escalated from there. So on this one we're going to go balls deep. We're going to go flat out, power mix 1, fuel mode 1, turn the jet engines up and go all the way to lap 5 or 6 depending on what the chap in second does. It's always worth having a decent strategy, an idea of what you want to do, but keeping it fluid, reacting to traffic, what the chap behind you does, mirroring what he does, deciding not to mirror what he does, as you'll see in this video. One thing that really surprised me about the Mustang is its tyre wear. As you can see, we're not even halfway around the second lap and I've got a front right tyre that is crying out already. I could feel the grip disappearing from the car as soon as this point. I don't feel like ever I really had a set of tyres underneath me that wanted to do a qualifying style lap. I think the Audi TT that's closing in behind us at the moment definitely had the better of the tyre wear battle throughout the race, which is why we decided on the strategy that we decided on in the end. The Spaniard behind us is actually doing pretty well. He qualified in 3rd. The qualification in this race was actually extremely close. I made a comment to the missus when I was starting the race that the top 16 in this race were actually covered by less than a second, which is crazy. The Gr4 circuit is the thick end of 2 minutes long, so to have almost a full field split by 1 second is pretty insane and something that I've not seen so far. So everyone really, right the way down to 16th had a shot at this one and a chance at winning this race. It was all going to come down to consistency rather than outright pace. But so far so good. We're hitting all of our marks. We're not really running to an insanely fast pace. You can see on that last lap, Marcus has caught us by half a second, so we're going to have to watch out. And as I said, the tyres really starting to give out, and we make quite a large mistake going through that first sector, which costs us a decent amount of time. Luckily behind us, Marcus didn't really get a fantastic run through there, so we were able to keep position and and just hold station. But he is closing in. It's not going to be a race where we just run away and get away from him. So It's going to be an interesting one. While that unfolds, I just wanted to cover a quick bit of Gran Turismo news from today. For those of you that have a look around at different forums and things like that and follow GT Sport closely, a few of you may have seen that one of the legacy circuits from Gran Turismo's in the past may well be coming back, Deep Forest Raceway. If you've never raced Deep Forest, absolutely unbelievably good track, and one that we should be very excited about potentially seeing. I think Kaz basically said today that it's in development, so very interesting. As you can see from my supreme editing skills, blink and you'll miss it, you might never have seen that. We are now on to lap 5. We've skipped a couple of laps because it all settled down a bit. The reason we've skipped to here is that at this point Marcus is going to dip into the pit, so he's going to try the undercut. For those of you who watch F1, the undercut is a strategy where you pit first for the fresher tyre, you set the fastest possible lap you can on fresher rubber and hope that the person that has stayed out for longer than you suffers through tyre wear. My strategy at this point is to hope that Marcus comes out into traffic because he's pitted early and a lot of the field have decided not to pit. So really what we're looking for at this moment is for me to set the best lap possible and to kind of show Marcus that he's pitted a bit early and there still is life left in the tyre, and hope he gets caught up in traffic. His strategy is to make sure that he's not caught up in traffic, and I don't think he is, unfortunately. You can see on the minimap there, he's in 6th, he's got an ocean of space ahead of him. So this one could go either way. But basically he's just got to nail the best lap possible. At this point I am really struggling for grip. You can see the car, I'm pointing the car at a corner and it's just not having it. We've got the best part of 2/3 wear on that front right tyre. A lot of the Yamagiwa circuit is left-handers, long sweeping left-handers that really take a lot out of the tyre. The one thing we've got going for us in this strategy is the fact that because we pitted a lap later, in theory our pit stop should be shorter because we're taking on less fuel, but also that towards the end of the race the life in our tyres will be better as they've done one less lap. So we're going to dive into the pits now. Just watch out for the pit entrance on the left hand side. We're going to dive in. Obviously in sport mode you've got no strategy choice in terms of tyre, which is unfortunate. I hope that's something that comes in the future. But basically we're going to take on the hard tyre and we're going to take 4.4 laps of fuel. I always go a little bit over what is 100% necessary just in case. We're going to pop out of the pits, and unfortunately I'm going to take an extra shift, which is going to kill my momentum and is going to allow Marcus to absolutely fly past us. So we've got a lot of work to do. We've got basically 4 laps to catch him, a 1.2 second gap to bridge. So basically at this point it's all systems go. We've got 3.5 seconds behind us. We've not got to worry about anything, any attack from behind, as long as we stay at the pace that we've managed to manage throughout the race so far, then behind isn't a concern. At this point I'm really just trying to get in his toe, make the most of the fact that I am now the car chasing, because it does amazing things for your mindset when you're in second position. A lot of people in first position spend too much time looking in the mirrors, trying to focus on what's going on behind, rather than focusing on their own lines, and it can have a horrible kind of like mental effect on you. Really do weird things to your skills. It's a really odd when it happens to the best of us. But we're chasing now, so we've got our sights firmly set on that TT ahead of us, just managing the gap, looking at that gap every now and then. Basically at this point I'm taking reference points, so I'll go under this bridge for example and I'll go, I'm 1.39 seconds behind. I want to know what that gap is next lap. At the start finish line I'm 1.2 seconds behind. I want to know what that gap is next lap. Not only does that give you a good idea of if you're catching the person ahead or not, but it also gives you a great idea of where you're strong. So it can really give you a good idea of where you're going to be able to mount your attack and things like that before you even get there. So for example, if I'm 1.2 seconds behind going through the first sector, but then all of a sudden I'm 0.7 of a second behind him through the second sector, it suggests I've got a significant pace advantage through that second sector. So that's where you really want to be, looking at where you can potentially mount an attack, or you know, what you can potentially do to set up an attack, you know, through that sector going into the next sector or something like that. But to be fair to Marcus, he's done very well so far, keeping it very, very neat and tidy, not made any mistakes. We're continuing the hunt, but so far we've actually lost time, so the strategy really isn't paying off at the moment. We've got a little bit, you know, fresher rubber, but as we saw in the first stint, it didn't really seem to affect Marcus too much, the tyre wear. Either that or he managed it a lot better than we did. With him being a front wheel drive car, I believe the TT is, he's going to struggle a bit, you know, through these kind of corners to hairpin and things like that. So obviously, if you're asking a tyre to do two things, accelerate and turn, it's going to be more difficult. That's why the front wheel drive cars are, you know, a bit quicker in a straight line as a result. One thing I'd say while we're looking at catching Marcus, and as you saw when we went under that bridge there, we're close to this lap, so we've managed to, you know, pick up a few little things through that. Since the balance of power in Group 4 has been changed, it's a lot more diverse as a class. I mean, this race had M4s, it had TTs, it had Megans, it had Crazy Me in a Mustang. I believe there's a Toyota GT86 in there. I've seen people qualifying with the Vantage, I've seen people qualifying with loads and loads and loads of different stuff. So nice to see Group 4 in a position where you don't have to select from two cars to have a shot at winning, or one car. Even the Megane was, you know, so bad. So yeah, it's really nice to, you know, be able to dive into a Group 4 race and pretty much be able to drive whatever you want and not have to worry about having a significant pace disadvantage. So we're going to dive down into the left-right chicane, and Marcus is going to make a huge mistake, but unfortunately we're going to have absolutely nowhere to go to capitalise on it. We've given him a big rocket up the ass, and at this point I'm thinking to myself that it's race over. That was the chance, and it's gone. But as you can see, as I mentioned a lap ago, he's struggling a bit through that hairpin at this point. The front tyres are crying foul a little bit, and we are in relatively good shape. The tyres have hung on a lot better through this stint than they did through the second one. We've set him up for the move. We've got a good run, so we're going to go inside. He kind of fake defends it, but not really. So we launch it up the inside. It was a very odd one, that. So I kind of came across to the right to start the move, but then he kind of came across a little bit but didn't defend, so I went a bit further right, so it came across a little bit further right, and eventually I just kind of went past. So we've got a lap to defend, but unfortunately for Marcus, he takes a big old chunk of the blue on the outside there, and it kind of just ruins his run, and from that point there's no fight back. So we managed to take the win, and we have achieved the impossible. All-American Muscle is #1. The Mustang has won a Group 4 race. I'm so happy. Do not believe that we managed to make that happen. Absolutely loved the Mustang since it came out. An absolutely unbelievable car to drive. And we've managed to get it to win. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching. As I say, hope you all had a fantastic new year, and we'll see you soon.